Hey everyone, Mark Hespin here, host of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO. Follow me on all social media at Mark Hespin. You know the drill, like and subscribe. What is today's Wednesday update video about? To me, I want to focus on the two biggest quarterback kind of debates going on right now in the NFL world about should or shouldn't get paid. Tua and Dak Prescott, and why I think the Detroit Lions actually made life really, really easy and simple for Miami Dolphins fans and Dallas Cowboys fans. So let me explain this. When the Detroit Lions signed Jared Goff to that contract, I said on my show, I said on social media, I liked the contract for Goff. I liked the contract for Detroit. I think it all made sense. Detroit right now is in win now mode. Jared Goff has just done something for Detroit in the last 3 years since being there and building this thing from the ground up. To last year winning multiple playoff games, something Detroit hasn't done in literal decades. They are not overpaying for anyone else. They have young stars. They got their left tackle locked up. They got their wide receiver locked up. You get your quarterback locked up. That's all great. You don't have to pay your lead edge rusher, Hutchinson, for another couple years. I think what Detroit's doing makes sense. They're a young roster that's grown together. Pay the guys. Let's make a run for the next 2 or 3 years. And I'm for it because I've been a fan of Jared Goff, his production, his leadership, and what he's brought to Detroit. Now, I think the other thing that Detroit deal has done is it's made very clear to Dolphins fans and to Cowboys fans what they should be asking their teams to do on social media. And if you're a Dolphins fan, you should be asking your team every day on social media not to sign Tua Tagovailoa to a big contract. You can't do it. You've got to let Tua play out this contract and play this year. Tua played really well last year, but Miami has a really tough schedule this upcoming year. And the worst thing you could do as a franchise right now that has some momentum, you made it to the playoffs last year, you got embarrassed in the freezing cold against the now two-time Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. The worst thing you could do this year is sign Tua to this panic contract that you'd have to pay him Goff money or better, which would be about $54 million a year, making Tua probably the second highest paid quarterback in the league behind only like Joe Burrow. You'd end up being paying Tua more than Justin Herbert, more than Lamar Jackson, more than Jalen Hurts and all these other big name guys, more than Patrick Mahomes in the annual per year. Because you can't give Tua a long deal like Mahomes and Josh Allen got. That makes no sense with his health concerns. I would implore Dolphins fans every day to be on social media, make your presence known. Do not sign Tua to a long-term deal. Play this year out. If Tua balls out this year and Tua stays healthy for the second straight year in a row, and Tua wins a playoff game, and you feel like the momentum is all heading in this really, really positive direction like the Detroit Lions just went through, well, then let's have that conversation a year from now. But I would be in no rush to sign Tua. Listen to what Miami has to deal with this year. They got to play Buffalo twice and the Jets twice. The Jets, obviously, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, are going to make life much tougher in the AFC East. Those 4 really tough games for Miami. Plus, you have to travel all the way to Seattle, the longest travel in the NFL, Miami to Seattle. You have to go to Los Angeles as well, a really good Rams team that I think will be even better this year, improved, that young bunch of talent that is now getting experience and a great coach in Sean McVay. You have to go to Green Bay, and not just to Green Bay, but you have to go to Green Bay Thanksgiving night, national TV, cold Green Bay, late November. You also have to play games at Houston. You have to go to Cleveland in late December. December 29th, you have to go play freezing cold Cleveland in Cleveland. And you also have a game against San Francisco, that game late in the season at home. If the Miami Dolphins can find their way to the playoffs and to win a playoff game, and Tua puts up MVP-like numbers again after this year, and they're able to win a playoff game, maybe make it to an AFC championship game, well, then I'm comfortable with you saying, listen, we have something going here. 2 straight years of the playoffs. We don't want to lose this momentum. We want to continue to build on this. Let's try to work out a deal with Tua. I would still never be pro paying Tua over $50 million a year, but you might have to pay it. Now, people would push back and argue and say, well, Mark, pay him now. You might be able to get him for a little less than you would next year if he has a huge year. I trust in Mike McDaniel. I trust in the roster Miami has. If they're able to get to the playoffs and win a playoff game or two with that tough schedule and everything, I have a feeling that they'll be able to find a quarterback who can continue to do that and it's not all just going to be Tua magic. You cannot pay Tua giant money, and you certainly can't do it before you see what he can handle with this year in this schedule. The Jared Goff money makes that new baseline. Jared Goff is the best of the other quarterbacks, right? No, he's not Herbert. He's not Burrow. He's not Mahomes. He's not Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not in that top six, so C.J. Stroud, I would argue, of guys who are like, that's just different. Those are young. That's exciting. Those are elite talents. But of that next group of guys, Dak, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Tua Tagovailoa, I would absolutely argue that Jared Goff is the number one of that next group. And so if the number one of that next group is at $53 million a year, then you got to be 100% confident that your guy is better than that guy and can win more than that guy. I can't do it right now with Tua. So let's talk about Dallas and Dak Prescott. I think it's the same thing. The opposite end for Dallas is that Dak Prescott is, going into year 9, almost year 10. He's had major injuries over the course of his career. Yes, he played at an MVP-esque level last year. 36 plus touchdowns, not double-digit interceptions. He cut down on the turnovers, which was great because he was very bold before the season in doing that. But Dallas, again, there's a really tough schedule. And if you're the Cowboys, why rush signing Dak to a deal right now? Again, if Dak can get through this year, stay healthy, lead you to a playoff win and not get embarrassed by Green Bay at home in the playoffs, you have to go to Cleveland. You have home games against Baltimore. You have your multiple games, obviously, against the Eagles, who I think are going to be improved this year. You have a game against Detroit, a game against San Francisco, game against the Texans, game against the Bengals, game against Tampa, who won a playoff game last year, as well as Atlanta, who we all think is going to be improved. If Dallas can get through that schedule and can find themselves in the second or third round of the playoffs, and Dak's playing big in big moments, well then fine, Jerry, open up the pocketbooks and pour out a giant contract on Dak Prescott. But to preemptively pay Dak Prescott, it's the same feeling with Tua right now. I don't think he's better than Jared Goff, and I don't think the momentum's headed in the right direction. If you pay Dak Prescott giant money going into this year, if you pay Tua Tagovailoa giant money going into this year, giant money meaning more than Jared Goff, then I think you're setting yourself up for a real public PR disaster, a fan revolt disaster, and you have no flexibility then if your teams struggle to make the playoffs, let alone miss the playoffs and or can't make it past the second round. Detroit is in a good spot. I mean, Detroit, who else in the NFC do you like more than Detroit besides maybe San Francisco? Detroit paying Jared Goff right now, yes, is it overpaying? I don't want to pay $50 million to anyone who's not named Patrick Mahomes. So yes, it's overpaying. We know that. But everything is in the right momentum. It's the right timing. And with Jared Goff, he's still in that prime of his career to where it's like, I'm paying him for the next 3 years where he's still in his prime. And then we can move off it once we have to revamp this roster in 3 years anyways. But this window is right now. Your window is right now. For Miami, their window feels right now. Dallas, their window doesn't feel right now. And so if the window is right now, Tua, it's wide open. Go out there like Joe Flacco did and go win a Super Bowl. And then I'll happily pay you even if you stink for the next couple of years afterwards because banners fly forever. The Detroit Lions in this Jared Goff contract has made to me it very, very clear. I would argue it's the same thing with Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. Do not sign these guys until you get through this season. And I know the pushback will be, well, then you have to pay them more next year. I'm comfortable paying a guy more, a little bit more next year in a longer contract or spacing it out somewhere if I have another year of proven success and winning. It's a motivation. If Jordan Love can make it to the Super Bowl or an NFC Championship game, well then yeah, heck, pay him whenever he wants next year. Same with Dak Prescott in Dallas. Same with Tua in Miami. If Tua can lead Miami to the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl after going through that schedule, well then I don't care. Pay him $60 million, whatever. But do not pay early and put yourself in a bad situation. If I was a fan of Miami, Dallas, I'd throw Green Bay in there here at the end. I would be pushing my organization every day on social media, Talk Sports Radio. Don't sign him. Make him come into camp, make him have a great year, and make us pay you like Joe Flacco made the Ravens pay him when he bet on himself winning the contract here and won a Super Bowl. Tune in every Saturday morning on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. Follow me on all social media. Like and subscribe at Mark Hespen, MarkHespen. See you next week.